We are making something beautiful today. So to make these great minimalistic earrings, definitely have your bail pliers. We always use bail pliers, your favorite cutters, and definitely some very small nose, chain nose pliers would be fantastic. Get some nylon pliers out. We need to keep our wire nice and straight and clean, no kinks. Of course, we need to measure. And I also have a file just to clean up any rough spots. Got my bench block out. I've got both hammers, nylon and chasing, and something that's just optional. I have this large wrap and tap pliers, and the only reason I'm using it is because of this place right here in the middle. Such a great place to clamp things. So this is, if you have one of these, this is great. Otherwise, some chain nose pliers will be just fine. I'm doing a little laziness today and using some pre-made jump rings just to keep down on the time, but you're more than welcome to make them as well. 20 gauge is the wire that we are going to use today for this project, and a little piece of scrap or something to attach the bead. I just grabbed something literally out of my scrap pile. I don't even know exactly what it is. So I always encourage you to save your pieces because they always come in handy. And I have a cloth here just to keep my wire nice and clean and to strengthen. So those are just some basics that you're going to need to make these earrings, and lots of fun projects that I have on my channel. I always encourage you to check out the rest of the playlist and just have fun, create all day. Let's get started on these earrings. I've got my 20 gauge out. This is going to take us through this whole entire project all the way to the ear wire. And I've just got it right here on the spool. That's the way I like to keep it. And before I cut it, I'll pull out a length and I just give it a good wipe down, removing any tarnish and giving it a little strengthening at the same time. And for one earring, we need 7 inches. Okay, so to start this, the very first movement is very similar to what we've done in a couple previous tutorials. We're just going to roughly find the center of this wire, and we're going to be putting a loop in it just by bending and then turning over on itself. And we got a little loop going here in the center. And I think I wanted a little smaller than that. I think I was going for about 1/2 centimeter for the length of this loop. And it doesn't matter if you want it bigger, you can make it just a little bit bigger. It's just as long as your earrings match, that's the key. But I think I just roughly 1/2 centimeter. And the next step is we're going to take out our bench block. I'm going to first hammer it with my nylon hammer. Just hammer the whole piece. And I'm going to switch over to my chasing hammer just for a little extra detail. If you look closely on this, you will see that this loop, what we're making right now, I have flattened it out just for like a little flash of light. Don't have to do this part if you don't have a chasing hammer, but it's just a little extra detail. And I kind of just do a tap and pull because I really want to focus on this little loop and pulling it out. So what you do with your hammer, that's how the metal will respond. And you should come away with something like that. Now I've got a little edge of my hammer mark on here, and I can always just take that out with running a file over it real quickly and smooth out any little, you know, those little lines. It's just a couple little passes. We'll just take that right off and you won't even know it was there. This is not, the hammer that I have is not really It is so, the reason why I did that is because it is so flat. I need to get a hammer that is slightly domed, just ever so slightly, so that I don't get those edges. I just haven't done it yet, so I just kind of work around it until I make that happen. So you can't even see those edges. I just lightly sanded it, and here we are at this stage. Now this part you can do with your chain nose pliers, but something that I like to bust out when I really want to make sure that I've got a hold on something is, you can do this also with bail pliers, but I want to get the large Wrap and Tap, your large bail pliers out, because this gap in here, it's like a centimeter. It's a pretty good opening, and I'll take this and just put it down right in there, and it totally encloses it. See how that fits right down in there completely? And I know I've got a complete hold on the whole entire loop when I do this. Right at that cross point is what I want inside these pliers. And I've got a good grip on this, and it is simple as just bending them in, so they're sitting parallel to each other. One seems a little straighter than the other. This is, you can tweak a little bit. It's not completely necessary, but sometimes I will, it depends on what the wire does. You know, wire responds differently every time, every time you make something. And if it responds, oh my gosh, I hammered the heck out of that. Oh, be careful. My. Well, I've got my ear wires, don't I? Cut that little scrap off. Now I've got 2 ear wires. Oh my gosh. Round 2. Okay, so that wasn't bad. I think that took me about 2 minutes to redo that. I think it's important that I show you that those things might happen. And you know what? Probably what it was, I'm so used to using 18 gauge or higher when I'm hammering something out. And, you know, I temporarily just forgot, you know, the 20 gauges can't really handle that much flattening hammering. So just be aware of that. I think I'm going to keep this little bow out right here just to see what it does. Let's see what different kind of look that comes with. I've got my nylon pliers out, and I'm just going to run them over this extension of wire here. Give it a little more strengthening, taking out any little kinks. I think that'll work. Let me look how things are lining up. I think, obviously, we can all see that yeah,
that doesn't look right.
The loop is a little dirt to the side, right? So I'm going to just try to take this moment real quick to see if I can just realign things. I think that's slightly better. If I need to realign later, I can always do that. That's better. The reason why I chose 20 gauge is because I just liked the very delicate look with especially this really pretty howlite, this white howlite bead. It just looked very delicate and classy to me. So I wanted to keep it light, plus it's good for earrings, you know? So I've got my 8mm bead, and I'm going to go to the 7mm bail, just about an inch down or so of what we got going here, from the loop to the 1 inch, and this, I'm going to put my bail in there. Just gonna get it sit in there, and then I'll make adjustments. You know what? I need to show you something, because this next part If you haven't ever noticed, like when you're trying to bend something around the bail, and next thing you know, one side is shorter than the other. And you're like, well, why is that? Let me show you from one of these little screw up pieces. All right, so if you bend, say just, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to get this bent in the middle, and I'm just gonna bring down this around this other side. Well, now the one side is short, right? And why is that? Because you're only bending this right side, and only that side of wire is getting used up, if you will, around the bail. So that's why one end will end up shorter than the other. And so if you want it nice and even, you've got to press evenly from both sides. I think I've got that kind of in the middle. We'll find out if I got it in the middle in just a second. When I press evenly on both sides, I'm using both sides of the wire to make this bend. Oh, come on now. Come on, Gary is on it today. That was pretty good. I must have got that practically exactly in the middle, because I can tell because my wires are meeting evenly on the other end. So that is, if you're running into a problem, you're trying to make a bend in a wire and they're not coming out evenly, you're probably just bending on the one side and using up that wire. So you need to press evenly from both sides. So back to where we were. Let me find that 1 inch-ish area again with my 7mm. I'm just going to reach in and get it, and then I will adjust the wires here just a second. Because see, that's all twisted up right now. Okay. So I don't want to just press on this one side. I want to press from both sides to get a really nice even bend where both sides are being used. Just till it's getting about here. And really make sure it's snug around this bail. We don't want it bigger than the 7mm. You remember, we're using specific measurements with this 8mm bead. So we want to make sure that it's actually a nice tight bend. So at this point we can take it off. I've got a little squirreliness going on here. I don't particularly like that. Let me put it back on this bail and clean up those wires just a little bit, because they're not sitting together. And for some reason, when you do this with the nylon pliers, they tend to come together just a little bit better. That's slightly better. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's going to work for this stage. The goal is to get these wires through that hole, and you're like, oh my goodness. I know this is from my working with knots and trying how do I make the knots for wire work. We recently did a tutorial. I'll put a link in the description and right here so you can see this wonderful link that we made with a nautical knot, the double coin knot. So fascinating. So this kind of developed out of that. Right for this point that we need it to go in, we're just kind of gonna pull it out and we're just gonna bend these wires. We've got this bend. It's okay to let it open. Let me trim this. This is bothering me. We want a nice clean insertion into this little hole. And watch this. We've got this so far. Watch it. When we push it in, it'll just be absolutely perfect. See? Because this wire is going to become the little loops at the top. I'm just putting this on the bail, that 7mm bail, just to hold it nice and tight and keep our loops nice and secure. And these wires are going to come up and over and become little loops at the top. So let me show you how I've got this from the side. And just with my hands, I'm just going to very gently just bring this straight up. Oh, lol, that's really crooked. At any moment, at any stage where you see something is it's crooked. Just take 1 second, 1 moment just to line things up again. It will save you so much headache in the end. I'm not joking, seriously. I'm going to use this again for some more help, just to keep things steady and line things up. That is looking pretty good. We're going to trim these wires to 1 centimeter so we can make that little loop that is going to connect to a jump ring and then our ear wire and get everything together. 1 centimeter we're going to trim from the top of that loop, which is right about in here. With our flush cutters. So this is our front, and we want to make this go to the back. So I've turned it over. I'm going to grab my bail pliers and using the 2mm bail right on the end of those wires and just very slowly roll back. You can put your finger right here on the bottom to brace it. I always find that very helpful. So you're not holding this. Once you've got it going, you know, just put your finger there to brace it. And then you can get a nice little roll there. All right, before I move on, I'm going to take a moment just to straighten things out. I'm looking from all sides as well. I'm looking from the top to see if that loop, that flattened loop that we make, this one right here, if it's nice and straight. Just going through and just tidying up if I see any kind of wrinkles or kinks or anything that needs to be cleaned up. Tuck in these loops. Make them sit together. Give them a little wiggle. That's going to be good for now. There's going to be some more adjustments later because the next stage is opening up this bottom part, and this is where the bead is going to go. Maybe if I can get my fingers in there. And you just need just a little bit of an opening, just enough to get your bead, whatever you're wanting to use, and pop it in there. Pop it into that little opening. It almost, if I shake this around, it won't even come out, but we want it to be a little extra secure than that and lock it in there with this wire that goes around to the back. I mean, I'm wiggling this around. It's not coming out, but you know how we are. It will eventually come out. So we want to just mount this in there, make it nice and secure. I'm also adjusting this loop shape just a little bit, not because there was anything super wrong with it. It just, especially this one, had a little bit of, it wasn't perfectly round. Like I didn't get it pressed against the bail enough. So I'm just making sure that it's the shape that I like and that I want to hold this bead in there. And I'm just making the tiniest little presses with my pliers just to adjust this loop shape. Because I'm a little bizarre like that.
She's crazy.
So to mount this bead, I just go through my scrap pile, and probably anything, probably even 20 gauge would fit into that nice hole on there. But I want it to be kind of discreet, so I'm going to find some thin wire. Like this would probably be good. This seems to be about 22 or 24, and this is a really good amount right here. I think I'm going to straighten it out just a little bit and remove some tarnish. So make sure you've got your front. Don't do like I did one time and I spent all this time wrapping. I'm like, oh my goodness, I wrapped it to the wrong side. So make sure you got your front. Insert your wire and roughly find your middle. Now this is kind of a key part of it. You want to make sure that the hole in your bead is running nice and straight and evenly from front to back. You don't want it over like this or even the opposite way. Keep it as centered as you can so that the distance coming to the back is equal, you know, just so your piece ends up looking as nice as possible. Now it is kind of probably the fiddliest part of this whole project, is getting this to be nice and even. But what I have found is if you get it in place and you hold that bead, hold it, and you've got to wrap one time on both sides just to kind of lock it in, as it were. And so I've got this really locked in here really tight. I mean, you can see how tight I am gripping that. And I'll just take, you can either use your fingers or some pliers to redirect this through that little opening and bring it on around. And do the same thing to the other side. Through that opening and pull it around. And really try to get this locked in here. So hopefully it will keep your bead nice and even so that your wraps are evenly hid to the back. Now there was one. Let me show you. Do I have it? No, it wasn't that one. Which one was it? Oh, hold on. This one. What's down here? This one. Oh my gosh. It's this one that it's not quite totally finished. I got some snags still that I didn't trim well, but I wrapped them to the front and I stuck another bead in there. So that is an option as well. There's millions of options. Be creative, run wild with it. But I'm just keeping it to the back because I really liked how it looked clean, it's simple and modern like this. So that's why I kind of went in this direction. But if you want, bring it to the front and make your wraps part of the detail. Stick another bead in there. Have fun. So I'm just trying to get this initial wrap going on in here. So I've locked my bead in equally. And once you've got these initial wraps on here, you know, pretty good, and you've checked your distance from the center of the bead. It's not quite perfect, but it will do. Then you can go ahead and start putting in your additional wraps just to lock everything in. You could do 2 or 3, whatever is working for you. Whatever you feel is going to hold your bead in there. And I'm also using these tweezer nose pliers, as you see me use all the time. You see how perfect that was for that? You don't have to have these, but I would definitely recommend finding some chain nose pliers with a very small nose on it. It will save you so much headache. I think I'm going to do just one more. I can't help myself. I do like little wraps, and I do like making sure it's going to stay. Why do all this work and then you've lost your bead? But we did see how that bead is amazingly locked in there without even being mounted, if you will, with wire. One more on this side. And press those wraps together to get them nice and snug. You don't have to worry too much about them being absolutely perfect, because it's amazing how that final squeeze just makes everything tighten up and look pretty. I think I'm just going to go ahead and trim right now. I almost thought I had the wrong side again. I thought this was the front just for the briefest moment. Just twist and tuck those ends. Oh, my finger's stuck. Okay, there we go. And if you want, you can adjust where these wraps are sitting just by, you know, pushing them down there behind that bead. I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Let's do a little cleanup. I see like little marks from my pliers on it, and it just bothers me. I've just got a little file here. I'm very lightly just going over these couple little marks I see on here. I'm not using my handy dandy nail file that you often see me use because it can be a little aggressive, and I don't need that right now. I just need a little soft fine tuning. Now you might find that once you put these wraps in, something in here might be a little bent, which is apt to happen because you got to hold something, right? So if you see anything that got a little cattywampus, it got a little wonky on you while you were doing the wraps, this is the time just to go back in there and tighten it up. Now you can make jump rings, but I just happen to have, where are they? I just happen to have a few little tiny jump rings that I'm going to use. I think it says they're 7mm. They look awfully small for 7mm though. But I'm just going to use one of these for the sake of time. There are several tutorials I've done to show you how to make jump rings. I'm not going to do that today, so we can just move on. And I've got a little jump ring in here. I've opened it up. I'm going to use this little spot right in there in the bail pliers to close it up. And then we have this cute little earring. Now you know, as always, no earring tutorial is complete unless we make an ear wire. So back again with the, I wonder if I could do it with this. How can I make this work? Back with the 20 gauge wire. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Don't do that, Carrie. I have some 20 gauge off of this other one that I was practicing with the other day. No wire goes to waste around here. If I'm not reusing it, putting it in my scrap bin, I also save every piece and then I'll melt it down. I haven't melted it down yet. I have a million pieces, but that's what I endeavor to do. And I'm going to guess I use about 2 inches. Let's see. Is that going to be 2 inches? Let's measure. Will I be on it today? Oh, shoot. I got about a 1/4 inch too much. Doesn't matter. For this ear wire that I always do, you always see me make it, I use my bail pliers. I use the 2mm just to make that little hoop, the little loop right on the end that attaches to the ear ring. And I just bring it on back until it meets the wire. Turn it, the loop is away from me, and then turn the 7mm bail towards myself. And put it in there. I can't pull it out anymore. And I want to turn it to the side and make sure it's nice and level as well. I don't want it sitting in here like this. I don't even want to see there's a loop. It should look just like it's a piece of wire. And then we're going to press around that 7mm bail just till it touches the end there. And I think I will trim it just a little bit, that 1/4 inch or so. And then with the bail pliers, just, you don't have to do this, but I like to put just like a little bend on there. I will also strengthen this ear wire by using the Nylon Hammer. And chasing hammer just to flatten out the top here. And just make sure the end of your wire is nice and smooth and clean. Don't do like I did the other day. I was so anxious to get this pair of earrings on that I just stuck it in my ear, and I'm like, oh gosh, that hurt a little bit. And my earring did get, my ear got a little irritated. You don't want to snag the inside of your ear. You don't want your customer, if you're selling earrings, you don't want your customer to have a snagged ear as well. That's nice and smooth. And there we have a wonderful, I got the wrong side again. My word, help me, help me. The amount of times I do that is bizarre. I did not have the right way, Carrie. Well, here we are with our wonderful little finished pair of earrings. I am absolutely loving these. I love the simplicity. I love the lines in it. And I'm also thinking it kind of reminds me of something Art Deco-like. The simplicity of it. Really lovely. Hey, I want to remind you that the post tab on my channel has changed to community. And it really has developed. YouTube has gone even further with this whole idea of really forming a community. I wish you could title it Wonky Wire Women, because we are the Wonky Wire Women, and I would love to have that title of our community together, because only subscribers can post to it. So it's not, it's a little different than a comment, because a comment anybody can leave a comment, but only subscribers, only Wonky Wire Women can post to the community. So I would love to have you join me there. I would love to have you subscribe and then join that community, showing me what you're working on and maybe how you take an idea and make it your own. Show me where you're selling. Show me your booth setups and all that goodness. You know what? I should show you the toolbox that I got to go do a show with. I am so in love with them. So I'll put a little quick demo over in here so you can see this wonderful toolbox that I got. I'd love to see your setups. I'd love to see your booth setups, your festival setups if you sell at markets and things. I'm always looking for wonderful ideas from wonderful other creative ladies. So join the channel, subscribe, and then you can join that community. It's free, doesn't cost nothing. And I also appreciate your comments and your sharing the video to all your creative groups that you're a part of. I love it. I love how you are helping this channel grow. You stay to the end. That one little thing about staying to the end really helps my channel grow and helps our group of Wonky Wire Women grow even more. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you being here for another great Tutorial Tuesday. What am I going to say here? Okay. I'm pretty sure this is 8mm bead. Is that the one that I use, though? I just did this last night and can't freaking remember. Okay. What am I doing? Gosh, I need more coffee. Okay. Why does it look so stupid? What the world? Why can't I just say anything?